Oh, thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, thank you. Now, please, because of time, let's just go ahead. Now, how would you assess the current state of fintech growth in Nigeria?
I think fintech is great. Is one area that's
Mm,
doing very right. Things are
mm,
mature. That being see, but is a right path because usually when you have a new area, you have a lot of people getting
mm,
there period of
mm,
time. Those who are not well matured, who are not strong, will fall back, and then you see the
mm,
emerging more structured, mature players, and that's where we are in
mm,
Nigeria.
Interesting. Now, what major milestones has the fintech industry achieved in recent years?
It's been first and foremost we put Nigeria on the map. It's easy to see all
Mm,
the things very well, but not because those things are not really trouble, they are. But fintech is one
mm,
bright. If you look at that is not only because of the population, right? There
mm,
are also large countries in Africa, but because we actually
mm,
get it, and so you see we do very well in payments, money transfers, we do well in credit, we do pretty well in Africa.
mm. Interesting. Now, for you, what factors do you think are driving the rapid adoption of digital payments?
Oh, right. Two factors. The first factor is our central bank, right? The OG, they really literally lay the foundation for this. Without the foundation that they put on ground, nothing will happen. At the same time, communication sector as well, the NCC also laid the foundation. In fact,
Mm,
both of these guys, you go back to like 5 years ago when that's when
mm,
GSM came, when transformation started happening. That's when you see the emergence of new generation banks like Access, GT, Zenith. So these guys laid the foundation. And then so the first set of things you start saying, folks start calling them fintech, you see that the new generation bank will spend a lot of money on technology. So you see the emergence of
mm,
me, of interest rate, right? E-transact. And then you see banks giving out cards, doing online banking. Then CBN and the and created VDM, which formed the foundation for identity. Now suddenly you have
mm,
identity that's rock solid, you've got banking that's rock solid, you've got communication that's rock solid. And those ones, they're like chemistry together to form something very exclusive. That has been the foundation of that. Everybody has been
mm.
those foundation up to this time. Then around 2021, around the election period, you 2020
Yeah.
saw the policy about Naira that was bad, but was also good. That laid the foundation for the emergence of the likes of Money Points, MTN, Yellow, and the rest of them. So those has been
Mm,
and the factor is we've got good telecoms, right? We've got hungry players, and then we've got all the infrastructure that we need to make that happen.
mm. Interesting. If you're listening to us, we are live on Facebook at Today 95.1 FM. We are live on Facebook. I'm having a conversation around what's next for fintech growth in Nigeria with Baba Adedeji Olowe. I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. I don't want to,
What
he's
am
the
I?
founder of
I'll just debit you for how many times you got it, but you got it right. Okay.
he's the founder of Lendsqr. Lendsqr, he's the founder, and I'm having this conversation with him. So, sir, do you think Nigeria is close to achieving a truly cashless economy, in your opinion?
Thank you for that question. But before I answer that, let me just help with the pronunciation. The company is called
Okay,
Lendsqr. Right.
Lendsqr. Okay, thank you.
So do we think we can really achieve a cashless economy? I think so. And in fact, I think we'll get there faster than we can imagine.
Mm,
Because first and foremost, right, Nigeria truly has one of the lowest cash to GDP ratio in the world.
mm,
We do, but
mm,
we don't have this because it's Nigeria, everything doesn't work. But yeah, we do have that. That's number one. But for us to be able to achieve that, you now ask yourself, what's the
mm,
left? Today, we have some few things that are working in our favor. So the
mm,
inflation in Nigeria literally destroyed development, but that destruction also led to something interesting. Our biggest note is 1,000 naira, which is less than $1. So it means that suddenly our ability to use cash to move around every money for things. You want to buy a car, you can't move the cash, right? Imagine you want to buy a car now for 50 million. Think of how heavy that is going to be. Every 1 million is one. You need like 50 kilograms of cash to pay for a 50 million car. It doesn't make sense. You want to buy a house, 1 billion, how are you going to pay in cash? So you can see that in itself, because Naira was devalued, right, led to people moving from a point of view of convenience and security. Because if you are moving a 50 million around, you first have to go to the bank. Everybody sees the bag you are bringing out of the bank. Trust me, somebody's going to knock you out before you even go too far. Now, that's on one side. On the other side, you're seeing before, when we started this cashless thing, you do a transfer, you wait 10, 20 minutes before you see the money. Everybody was okay with that. Then you now see the emergence of like OPay, money points, and then boom, transactions are happening so fast. So people have seen the speed, but the speed hasn't gotten to a level where it's fast enough to cover the last mile, right? And probably, like, what is the last? The last mile. So when you look at transaction, it's like a pyramid from the big. Okay, take a state government, 1 billion naira, for example, for salaries, is sent electronically to employees. Employees receive the salary. They want to pay big things, they pay with electronic method, either with card and the rest of it. But when they go to the lower bottom, who I want to go and buy pepper and mango and the rest, then they convert it to cash. Now, imagine today, if I want to speak with you, you speak with WhatsApp because it's fast and it's free. Now, when payment gets to that level of speed and free, then it's not going to make sense. Look, it's at that time, it's not about whether it's cheaper or whatever. It just won't make sense to use any other method to pay. Today, if I want to speak to you, imagine somebody showed up in your house and said, well, I don't want to use WhatsApp. I came to your house to tell you my problem. They're going to think like, are you okay? Same way. So and I'm almost certain we are getting there. Some banks and platforms are now super fast. If you are paying with transferring money with money point and OPay, it blazing it fast. Once that level to critical mass, everybody's just going to use cashless. And I feel like we actually have a chance of being one of the totally cashless society in years to within maybe 2, 3, 4 years. It will continue at this pace.
Interesting points you're making there. But what role does regulation play in shaping fintech growth?
Everything, right? So regulation, whether kind of push fintech forward or it could block. I'll tell you why. So the regulation for BVN, for example, significantly transforms how fintech will happen, because identity is the foundation of everything. If I don't know who you are, then how am I going to do business with you online, right? I'm talking about the bank to their customers. Now, regulation against crypto, for example, put a pause to all these fancy crypto things. At one time, Nigeria was the third largest crypto market in the world. For real. And we're still big. But when CBN said, thou shalt not touch crypto, everybody went on that round. Now, CBN is coming out now to say, okay, guys, okay, let's take another look at this thing. That is an example of how regulation can put a break to a particular segment growth, or how a regulation can make things to move forward, right? When you look at lending, for example, regulation kind of slowed down lending because several lenders, a minority of lenders were misbehaving, but that regulation slowed everybody down. So regulation is everything when it comes to fintech. It's everything.
Interesting. Now, when you talk about the current policies we have in Nigeria now, do you think they are encouraging innovation or are they slowing it down?
It's a mixed bag. Some are encouraging, some are slowing things down. So, for example, the regulation against crypto slowed things down significantly. I am not a Christian, so when that came out, I didn't cry for anybody, right? But that for those, it's a big problem. You see, regulation of open banking is not yet out. Every benefit you get from open banking is not being achieved, which is quite unfortunate. But you see the regulation of AML, for example, that's come out, right? So the central bank has asked every bank to make sure that anti-money laundering, right, and their trust system and anti-money laundering KYC are linked together. This is extremely advanced for Africa. And they've given all the banks, you're looking like towards the end of next year. When that happens, transaction will be easier to do because the fraud will be way lower. Trust is the foundation, is the spirit that holds financial services. So that's how a regulation is helping to hit that. So when everybody is, and when fraud is, how would I call it? When fraud is reduced and everybody is very happy to send money to anybody at any time of the day, they will use it more.
Now, let's look at this fintech expansion. Now, how important is financial inclusion? Because we keep talking about financial inclusion in Nigeria. They keep telling you that a lot of people have not been financially included in Nigeria. How important is financial inclusion to the next phase of fintech expansion?
Is everything. See, we have this proverb in I'm a very traditional person. They say that rich man in the midst of a poor people, he is indeed a very poor person, right? When in the issue of telecoms in Nigeria, there used to be GSM. There were 39 GSM companies in Nigeria before MTN, Airtel, and Glo. They were all in Ikoyi and BI. How many the rich people? How many rich people have in Nigeria? There are not a lot. In fact, when GSM came to Nigeria, it was very expensive. SIM card was 20,000. 20,000 when dollar used to be like about 113, $100, right? That's like $200. But somebody figured out, like, look, rich people don't want to call just rich, they want to call everybody. And then it started going down, then Glo came around and transformed everything. And why? Because it's a network effect, right? Without financial inclusion means you are including everybody. There's no way you draw the line from even Tinubu all the way. It's going to draw the way to some poor guy somewhere. So fintech that doesn't include inclusion does not have a business, right? So basically, it's those who grew recently, when you look at people like MoneyPoint, it was because of financial inclusion. They took banking and to the last, right? And if you look at, we all get to hear about how MoneyPoint is doing something in down south here. You should go to the north. They are very big there because they took financial inclusion to places where nobody have access. If you're in the north where the next city is like a million and you want to buy a cow, you want to buy a corn, right? Being able to pay, right, is everything that matters to you. So yeah, anybody that doesn't include financial inclusion in their if they can go. When you talk of credit to pay, the financially included need credit. Without fintech, credit will not get to them, and you have to be that simple.
Now, what challenges do you think are hindering fintech from penetrating rural communities?
A lot of challenges, but all of them are surmountable. I can't fix all, but let me tell you some. The first one is infrastructure, right? So we take our network, right, because it's all over the place. But when you go to rural north, rural east, south, the infrastructure is not that very robust. And the truth is, no matter how much you want to do, right, financial inclusion rides on telecoms, and the quality has to be good. Number two is that some of these services are complex. Look, even for people like you, Paul, you probably have seen several mobile apps that are very confusing. Poor people don't, even if it's going to be USS, let's get. And this is what GSM guys have figured out. They notice that every single person has a phone, probably a dog and a cat. Somehow they know how to dial, somehow they know how to call. Most people also have WhatsApp, even when they are using like the deadiest phone, right? Every single person, even the poor, has WhatsApp that they can say Galfa. So that means that we have to, like, with infrastructure has to be great enough for us to be able to get to them. The cost has to be cheap enough, right? And it has to be simple enough for us to get to them. And they have to be prioritized. Support has to be great. Because poor people or people that are not sophisticated, they are scared of big companies. So you transfer your money, 1,000 naira, it's not getting there. You're trying to get support to send. Are you going to be sending it? Or you call somebody, they can't understand that you're angry. It's so difficult. But those are the challenges with reaching the reaching and serving the excluded in rural areas.
Now, for fintechs now, how do you think they can build trust among users who are concerned about security? Because there are users who are concerned generally about it. Do you know that recently I went to purchase
I am
something
concerned. I am
from one of the markets? I recently went to purchase something from the open market here, and one of the trader was telling me that he's not going to receive money via one of these fintech apps, that he doesn't trust them, that according to him in co, he said, if he carry my money run tomorrow and I don't know where I go find them go. So how are fintechs going to build trust among such people about security?
You know, the truth is, trust is end. It's not a privilege. If you have a business, you have to behave in a way that they will make them trust you. So how do you break trust? So today, these people use WhatsApp. Why do they trust WhatsApp? Because it works, right? They don't need to go take somebody all over the place. So if you're a fintech, the reliability of your platform will let people to trust you because they gradually just, it won't just wake up. Number two, when things go wrong, provide them with information why it's wrong, help them to fix it, keep your SLA, and also let it be like chipping, right? And then even be proactive. And then, of course, obviously, you even have to secure and make sure that the platform is solid, the platform is secure. Because, look, instead of saying, I'll be there when something goes wrong, if you can trust for that not to even go wrong, then nobody will care about you being there. And that's what is most important, right? So, yeah, we have to be humble enough that we have to earn the trust of everybody. And it's not about who you are making money from, it's about everybody, because those people that you think are not making money from, sometimes they influence the decision of those you make money from. So take care of everybody.
All right. Now, what role do you think artificial intelligence will play in the future of fintechs, not in Nigeria and maybe in Africa generally?
It plays a role. A lot. Because AI will literally let fintech do some of the things they could have done before. And I will talk about my experience. So, for example, I run fintech here, right, in Nigeria. We don't have a lot of very solid engineers here because all the solid, they left. They are smart. They've gone to Canada. They've gone to the US. And wants to tempt you to go and recruit an engineer. You discover that one engineer is even more than all the money you raise in funds. But with the emergence of people are able to build stuff. So, for example, you right now at today's FM, there are interesting things you can now build for your FM radio that you could have thought about before. So the cost of doing something great is different. What does that mean? It means that fintech can now serve more people with AI than they were done before. That's one. Number two, AI can be used to help customers proactively. If you have AI that is providing support, that is checking transactions, that is engaging with people, nobody cares. So imagine you are a poor person right now, you are financially excluded, you do a transaction, it's failing, you call a WhatsApp, round the clock, there's an AI that understands your pidgin, that understands you very well, that has empathy. The AI doesn't, if a human being, if I train you Paul or train Deji right now to be a good support person, and then my girlfriend or my daughter or whatever, take it out to the next customer. AI is always there, always pleasant, doesn't have an attitude. If you swear for it, you won't say, because AI can allow them to be able to do that support, always available. Those are some of the small ways. AI continue to watch over customers' transactions and allow a fintech to actually provide service based on 2 tons of customers in different ways. It's almost impossible to have AI. So in fact, Africa and Nigeria, we need AI more than the Western countries need AI, because we have issues than those firms have.
Interesting. Now, we always ask this question to people around about collaboration between banks and fintechs. I'm going to ask you 2 questions in one related to the same thing. Do you think banks and fintechs can collaborate? Now, if you think so, how do you think they can collaborate to strengthen the sector?
All right. Okay. So first and foremost, they can collaborate. Will they collaborate? That's the story. Can they collaborate? Yes, there's nothing stopping. In fact, there have been many collaborations. So, for example, when you look at some of the big things that we have, many of them came from collaboration with banks. Money Points, collaboration with Fidelity Bank at the early days. Flutterway collaboration with Access Bank. So, in fact, some of these companies, like InterSwitch, was actually built by banks. Collaboration between banks created InterSwitch, created unified payments. So those things there. Now, the new modern fintech we have, are they going to collaborate? I don't know, right? But the type of collaboration we see in banks doesn't seem to be available outside banking. Bankers are fiercely competitive. We call them cowboys. They are very aggressive. But guess what? They learn to collaborate to build things. They built industry, they built news, they built BVN, they refurbished the what's the name of that place? The National Theatre. But fintechs, what do they do? Now, that collaboration, right? So the area they can collaborate is first and foremost fraud. People want to like solve these issues. Banks and fintech don't speak well together when it comes to fraud. Everybody's always trying to blame the other person. Some people think the banks are bad. Some people think the fintechs are evil. Nobody cares because the bad guys are taking advantage of that word. They think about in services because not everything. There are things that banks can. That's why they are banks. There are things that fintech do well. That's why they are fintech. That also, for example, banks can only hold money. Fintech can transaction and do interesting things. It's a perfect combination to collaborate, and I wish they could.
Interesting. My final question to you because of time. Now, what should Nigeria prioritize to maintain fintech leadership in Africa?
Oh, we should prioritize quality, right? We should.
Okay.
Why? So quality in a lot of ways. On many things to prioritize. I'll tell you. Number one, quality. We love you guys, right? But let's make sure we do the right thing. So it's not about punishing people that do the wrong thing. It's about enforcing the standard for everybody to do the right thing. That's number one. So it's an encouragement and it's a little slap on the hand, but not to destroy anybody. That's one. Number two is to put policies in place that really grow the market, open in virtual assets. The government needs to drive this like their life depends on it because they don't need money to. They don't need to run it. They just need to make sure it happens. And then number three will be like government to streamline the regulatory process. When regulation, right, it kind of slow things down. If you're going to get it on time or get your no on time, not that you sit down there for months and you don't know what's going on. Government should become the ambassador. If I were to be or to be wherever, if I'm going anywhere, I'm always going to be rotating all these things and players to follow me. I will go outside, even if they are misbehaving at all. I will beat them at home. I will go and sing their praises outside because nobody will sing for us. And I feel like that will make fintech. And CBN is already doing a good job of it. And most times when you see the president at the United Nations, central bank governor going somewhere, there's always a fintech here and there that will follow it. But I think we need to see.
Before we run off, at Lendsqr, what's the future like for Lendsqr? Before I go.
So Lendsqr, we are a global loan management software. We provide software for lenders across different countries. We just happen to be operating out of Nigeria. If you're a lender today, you either build your own software or you come to Lendsqr. And everybody knows building your software is like almost a stupid thing to do because it's complex. You probably don't have the money, you don't have the people to do it, and you don't have the time. But everything that will take months or years, you can get it from Lendsqr within an hour. So that's how we roll.
Adedeji Olowe, the founder, CEO, Lendsqr. Thank you for joining me on this show today.
I'm going to get you to 1 million. You didn't get it. It's Olowe. So you owe me 1 million.
Adedeji Olowe. I think I got it this time.
You got it right.
The CEO of Lendsqr. Thank you for joining me this week.
Thank you so much, Paul. Please enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.
Yeah.